and announced that that is not going to be the case, and that millions of people right now are losing their health insurance because employers don't want to cover it anymore because it's mandated through the government, so they don't have to. They can make their employees just take up one of the health care plans that is offered on the government's website. And oh, by the way, I wonder how many people have signed up on that government website because it's still not working. And oh, another story popped up this week that said that the developers of that website were friends and acquaintances and known by President Obama's wife. So it's just kind of interesting how these things interact here. This class in Georgetown University will be taught by Professor Kelly Garcia. She is the senior counsel at the National Women's Law Center. She oversees its efforts to address religious restrictions on women's access to reproductive health services, according to her online Georgetown profile. And I would encourage you to go to Georgetown's website and speak out against this and say that this is wrong and that it needs to stop, that this course needs to not go ahead because this is a lobbying. She is the senior counsel for the National Women's Law Center. And we know that the National Women's Law Center is a lobbying group. So here's a lobbyist teaching law students to form groups and strategies to promote Obamacare-covered abortions. So this is just, here's another thing about Garcia, this Kelly Garcia, Catholic Education Daily, in reporting on the issue, points out that Garcia has written a love poem in honor of Planned Parenthood, supports the abortion mandate, and has proclaimed that institutions that refuse to provide contraceptive coverage and are simply using their religion to discriminate against women. Well, she couldn't be any further from the truth. We're not discriminating against women. We're advocating for the lives of children who are being aborted. So I would say to you, Ms. Garcia, that you are wrong and that you need to repent of your sin and change your ways and start speaking out against this horrific murdering of over 50 million children in the United States have been killed since Roe v. Wade was implemented. So getting back to those stats about 1 out of every 3 women having an abortion at some time in their life prior to their reproductive years is a bunch of hooey. There's only 50 million babies have been aborted since Roe v. Wade took place. There are 330 million people in the United States. Let's say half of them are women. So you got about 115 million, 165 women in the United States. And you're telling me that 1 out of 3 of those 160 million women have had abortion, and only 50 million abortions have actually happened? I mean, it's crazy that this is being brought out. That, you know, and one of the things that you don't take into account is women who have multiple abortions. They're calling each one of those people that had multiple abortions as a different individual. So it's just crazy to think of this, these lies that are being brought forth upon our nation. Okay, let's get into another issue with regard to abortion. A federal judge rules key provisions of controversial Texas abortion law unconstitutional. So we know that there was this huge fight in Texas over this abortion law that they were trying to put into place, which would actually protect women and cause them to be dealt in a healthy manner, in a safe manner with regard to abortion. And remember that one of the lawmakers there in Texas what do you call it? Wendy Davis. She was a Democratic senator. She's now a candidate for governor. Staged a dramatic 13-hour filibuster against the proposed restrictions that would restrict abortion in the state of Texas. So here's this woman promoting this. A U.S. District Judge Lee Yankel decided Monday that the regulations requiring abortion doctors to have admitting privileges at a nearby hospital impeded the rights of the physicians to do what they judge is best for their patients, and would unreasonably limit a woman's access to state abortion clinics. Now, let me just read between the lines a little bit here for you. What he's saying is that doctors who do not have admitting privileges at hospitals, if they're not allowed to provide abortions, that you are limiting women's access to a safe abortion. Well, let me tell you this. There's a reason these doctors do not have admitting privileges at hospitals, because wouldn't even be brought on by the board of these hospitals as a physician that they would want to have as part of their organization. If you've ever been around anybody who's in a doctor or in that profession, they have to get into the hospitals and be part of the hospital after going through a board review to be part of that hospital, and they can lose their admitting privileges by that hospital if their practice is deemed not up to the standards of that hospital. And so here are all these doctors there in Texas who do not have admitting privileges. How would you like to go to a doctor that couldn't admit you to the hospital? How many of you would stay with that doctor? Name Dr. X. I'm going to Dr. X, and Dr. X, I'm sick and I need to go in the hospital. Dr. X says, well, I can't put you in the hospital because I can't treat you in a hospital. If you go to a hospital, you'll have to go into the emergency room and be treated by the physicians there, because I can't treat you because I'm not allowed in that hospital. And I don't have any hospital anywhere that will allow me to admit you to the hospital. Now, this is what the basis of this judge's law or his decision to overturn this Texas anti-abortion law. And he goes on to say the admitting privileges provision of House Bill 2 does not bear a rational relationship to the legitimate right of the state in preserving and promoting fetal life or women's health, and in any event places a substantial obstacle in the path of women seeking abortion of non-viable fetuses, and thus an undue burden on her, he wrote in his decision. So what he's saying is that this is not allowing women, if a woman has a non-viable child or a non-viable pregnancy, at least what they're calling non-viable, she would be definitely involved with medical personnel already, because it would have been, they would have done ultrasounds and they would have done all sorts of testing on the woman to prove that the child was unviable anyway. So why is this even an issue? She's in the medical system already if the baby is judged non-viable. And a lot of these where doctors have said in the past that this child is not viable, and the child comes out and is perfectly fine. There is a God in heaven who can heal and does heal, and even can heal a child in the womb as well. So we need to take that into account also. He barred the provision of the law that doctors abide by the Food and Drug Administration's procedure for drugs in all cases, according to the Associated Press. Now, this was reported in the Associated Press. So he's basically said that the protocols set forth by our government's Food and Drug Administration with regard to administering the drugs for the morning after pill and some of these other pills, and we've covered this in past shows, where they're giving them the RU-46. They're supposed to give them 3 of those and then 1 pill to expel the fetus from the body. Instead, they're giving them 1 of the RU-46, which they hope kills the baby, and then they give them multiple pills to expel the baby from their body. So basically, they're doing this because the RU-46 pill costs about $90 a pop, and the pills to expel the baby only cost a few dollars each. So it's a lot more cost effective. They can charge more money, and they make more money by prescribing medications that are cheaper for them to procure. So this is again part of this. They don't tell you the whole truth. They just tell the part of the truth that they want you to hear, or their truth, or their version of the truth. It says 2 other contentious provisions of the law: prohibiting abortions after 20 weeks of pregnancy, and the requirement beginning in October 2014 that doctors perform all abortions in surgical facilities, are still slated to take effect, according to the Associated Press. So 2 parts of this law are still slated to happen, and those 2 parts are that after 20 weeks of pregnancy, a baby cannot be aborted, and number 2, any abortions done have to be done in surgical facilities. And the reason they don't want to, make it so that they have to be done in surgical facilities, because surgical facilities are in hospitals, and the doctor has to have admitted privileges to conduct the abortions in that hospital, and these abortion doctors cannot get privileges to come into a hospital to perform abortions because they do not meet the requirements of those hospitals for those doctors to be admitting professionals into their facilities. So again, you got to read between the lines here. Reverend, not Reverend, he might as well be Reverend. Governor Rick Perry is we know from the political campaign here last time around, he's a good man. He's loved by many in his state, and he's part of the Republican-dominated legislature there in Texas. And he said, that he is for this, and he will continue to fight for it. And this law that was passed by duly elected officials of their state, and again, we see judges legislating from the bench and changing laws just because they don't like what it is, and they are bringing an immediate challenge of this directly to the government. Now, here's something else I'd like to read to you. There is this woman named Wendy Davis. Now, Wendy Davis is the lady that did the 13-hour filibuster against the proposed restrictions. She is now a candidate for governor, and I tell you that she should not be elected governor, and I can say that because I have the freedom of right, and I'm not a 401c3, so I can speak out politically, and I can say this is wrong and that this woman should not be voted for. And if you are a member of the state of Texas, please get the word out to not vote for Wendy Davis for candidate for governor. Anyway, Wendy Davis says she's not surprised by the judge ruling. As a mother, this is Wendy Davis, I would rather see our tax dollars spent on improving our kids' schools rather than defending this law. So if you read between the lines there, what she's saying is, I would rather see money spent on tax dollars on our kids' schools rather than for murdering and for killing our babies, or allowing the murder and killing of our babies. She's saying that, she would rather see, instead of babies defended, schools having better curriculums. Well, I'm telling you what, most kids don't get much more from school other than the 3 R's: reading, writing, and arithmetic. And if they want to go on to a higher school learning, that's great. I've had some college that I've taken And, you know,